What's up, Eager to Pleasers? Welcome back to another episode of the Eager to Please podcast. I am so happy to welcome my friend and co-writer, Nancy Deckant. Nancy is a Nashville-based songwriter and author, and we've had the pleasure of writing various songs together over the course of my time in Nashville. And she's here to talk about her new book, Not Alone, From Chasing Connection to Being Connected, Belonging and the Power of Staying, which explores belonging, the patterns of our bodies, how they adapt and feel safe, and how to come back to ourselves. Along the way, we'll be talking about self-abandonment, what it means to stop leaving yourself in order to be loved. Nancy, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Natalie. Thank you so much. It's great to be here. This is my first podcast on this topic of not alone. There you go.
It is a volume of self-discovery and knowledge, and I can't wait to dig into that with you. So
I wrote it with very short sentences because that's what I can read. I made them all. Some of them rhyme. You know, I'm a songwriter. What can I say?
That's right. Well, rhymes are little jingles to our ears. So I'm curious, Nancy, for the listeners who are just meeting you, what is Not Alone about?
Just in general, you know, we tend to think of belonging as coming from other people, but you can be surrounded by people, loved by people, included by people, and still not feel like you belong. And Not Alone is about that deeper kind of belonging, the kind that begins inside yourself. I really didn't know that there was a belonging inside of myself, but there is one. And at its heart, Not Alone is about coming home to yourself and discovering that belonging is something you can actually build inside yourself. And at the center of the book is the staying practice, what I learned just to, and we'll go into that later, where you can listen to what's going on, be there for yourself. And out of that kind of activity, you know, that sense of belonging really starts. You know, we just really are always focused on other people trying to make that happen. But when we give that to ourselves, a lot of things change on the inside.
Yeah. What was it exactly that prompted you to write this book?
Well,
let's unpack that for a minute.
Let's unpack that one. Yeah. I didn't set out to belong to myself because I didn't even really know you could belong to yourself. Mm-hmm. And I sure wasn't planning on writing any book. I had already written The Songwriter's Guide to Protecting Your Songs and Collecting Your Money with Bill O'Hanlon and Leslie Bowe about 13 royalties to help songwriters. So I knew what a big commitment writing a book is all about. But when I found it, I had this painful falling out with some friends, and I began journaling because I was trying to understand why it hurt so much and why I had responded the way I did. And instead of rushing past all the pain, I started listening and being there for myself. And what I was really doing was staying with the grief until it was done saying all it had to say. And once my body understood that I was serious about listening to me, like the truths about me just started coming one after another, Natalie. I was like, okay, do I need to know more? But that's the way it worked. And I began recognizing patterns that I had carried for a very long time. And I had always been reaching for connection and overriding my body and, just trying, and with an unnamed ache on the inside. Mm-hmm. So I just kept writing until the unnamed ache had a name, and that journey became Not Alone.
Nice. And I think buried in there too, this notion of self-abandonment, which is so powerful, is probably, an interchangeable name that you've discovered. What does that mean, self-abandonment?
Oh. My gosh, and doesn't it sound terrible? We just really think that we're abandoned from our parents, right? But to me, self-abandonment is what happens when I leave my own experience in order to preserve the connection I have with someone else. Mm-hmm. I might ignore what my body is telling me, kind of dismiss what hurts, override what I need, or make the other person's feelings and comfort more important than my own feelings. And, I might explain too much. I'm over explaining, totally over explaining. Why am I just, how about let's just let whatever I really think. And so, instead of recognizing, hey, something in me is not feeling right about this situation. So self-abandonment is really sneaky too, Natalie.
Right.
Sometimes it looks like being agreeable, helpful, loyal, even just trying to get along and smoothing it all out. But underneath it is the belief that staying connected to someone requires me to not include myself when it comes to making sure everyone else's needs are met, and then kind of leaving yourself in the dust. And this has all happened unconsciously for a
Yeah.
long until like the lights come on and you go, hey, what about me? Hey, and how's come what why didn't I didn't get what I needed out of there? And am I allowed to have what I need? So,
So true. Which is why I think this topic is so perfect for the Eager to Please podcast, because there are some overarching themes that we've just kind of talked about. And that's, making things smooth for everyone else and ignoring our own feelings and what we truly want to make sure everyone else is, comfortable. So I'm curious, from someone who has done the work and has really dug deep to figure out, maybe you're not necessarily labeling it, but why do you think it's so hard to see when we're self-abandoning ourselves?
I think, often the body recognizes uh, that we're abandoning ourselves a lot faster than our mind does.
Mm-hmm.
Because our mind has kind of been trained to just do what we've been doing. But you know, I didn't even recognize it at all, and till I started going, you know, hey, what do I feel in my chest here? What is going on in my stomach? Why do I feel so much pressure and urgency, to fix something? I'm a big over explainer. I'm like, why am I doing that? And I'm feeling compelled in my body to do that. Another sign is that you stop asking yourself what you want or need, and your attention moves to the other person. Oh, okay, how about what am I feeling right here? And
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think we're even trained. You just think about it when we're kids. Don't do what you're doing, kids. Come over here and listen to your parents. That's what's important. I mean, we're kind of trained in a lot of ways, unless we have a free thinking parent that goes, hey, what you think is really important to me. I didn't have any parents like that, so we're kind of like socialized into this, and the signs that something isn't quite right and we need to pull back and wait is really our best advocate is in our body, but our mind is overruling most of the time.
Yeah. I want to stay there for a second on this people pleasing and, protection patterns for a second. Can you explain a little bit, how those two topics kind of weave themselves together?
Well, if you learned early that pleasing other people, being quiet, being helpful, understanding, or maybe more for me, it was like there's some really big voices in the room and they were pretty scary.
Mm-hmm.
Better do it. Or if you don't do it, anything could happen to you. There was a real sense of lack of safety in my family from what supposedly was like normal discipline, but it was not normal discipline. And when you're scared, really scared of someone in your house, you got to do whatever you got to do just to be safe, to feel safe. So it's just safer to go, oh, boom, whatever you want,
Yeah.
because you don't feel safe. Does this make sense?
Totally, 100%. And also going back to something that we talked about earlier, just the wanting to feel connected and to feel loved by someone. I think we often mistake, people pleasing for craving love or attention from someone, when really the first person that should be loving ourselves is ourselves. So I think there's a little bit of confusion there too, which, I know that you dig into a little bit in the book as well. So
What class in grade school or high school did you get that said, this is how you love yourself? No,
that's
there are
true.
no classes out there.
That's
There are no
true.
college classes out there. There are a lot of self-help books that help you look inward for sure. Um, and by the time you're there, you're already in of some kind of pain inside yourself.
Yeah.
There's counselors who can be great at naming and helping you see, hey, maybe that wasn't normal that was going on. You know,
Hmm.
"No, I don't think that was so funny, or, you know, that's really nothing to laugh about how you were treated, because a long time, in our family, we just laughed that whole thing off. There was nothing laughable about that. And who do you tell? And I think, when you're in pain on the inside, there just isn't a class or a consciousness about it. And
Yeah.
except for in the self-help world.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like you don't really know those resources are available until you're older anyway. So, like you said, you're not learning this when you're in your elementary school years.
Well, and you know what? I am teaching my grandkids, right? And my daughters,
Okay.
like, okay, like you're really mad at your sister right now, Aiden. Okay, where do you feel it? Okay, it's in here. Okay, what's it saying? What's it saying? Well,
Yeah.
it's saying it's not fair. And I say, yeah, exactly. Let's just, put our arms around that part because it's not fair. And
Hmm.
a lot of times we just didn't get that kind of mothering or fathering. We got a lot more like
Just
discipline.
deal with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
deal with it. How do you deal with it? And you're lucky if you have a parent, that goes, hey, that wasn't right. Hey, I'm going to take up for you at school, or make people stop. Or how do you feel on the inside? And usually we get, hey, just, stop complaining. I don't think a lot of people know what to do about it. Right.
Exactly.
What do
Yeah.
what do you do? What do you do when you have a feeling on the inside and it's very uncomfortable? And
You
these days,
stuff it, Nancy. You stuff it.
oh, that's what you do. You stuff it, right? We have a life full of stuff in it. I've done that. It just
Yes, it
doesn't.
doesn't serve us well. That is for
It
sure.
doesn't, and you end up in counseling. You know?
Yeah. Which there's nothing wrong with that. It is definitely an avenue to help start unpacking some of these things that
Well,
have
and
been kept
worse than
down.
that, before you get to counseling, you have an alcohol problem. That was certainly mine. Why did you get to there?
It's
And
another
I've been
outlet,
sober
right?
now almost 40 years now, but there are a lot of, things that kind of push you in that direction if you're stuffing your feelings to begin with.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go there for a second because you had just mentioned listening to your body as a messenger. So in your book, Not Alone, you have described this scenario where your body plays a major role in how we're identifying ourselves as leaving. Let's
Okay.
let's dig into that a minute.
Okay. Well, I would like to say that our bodies, we're not taught this, um, but our bodies are intelligent.
Hmm.
Clarissa Pinkola Estes says it's the body consort and she wrote this book, Women Who Run with the Wolves, and she's a storyteller from the olden days, and she's amazing. And she has a book called The Joyous Body that says your body is an intelligent being, and it accompanies you all of your life. It is loyal to you no matter what you drag it through. Okay. And it has its own intelligence. And that's what I learned, was like when I started listening to it, my body was like, well, okay, now that you're listening, I'm going to give you some more to listen to. And I was like, no, but you're kind of like not going to get out of it now. But the body, and this really isn't so much detailed in the book, but it is in the staying practice, which people can get a PDF of it for free. Your body, everything, all the traumas that are stored in your your body is a map of it. And it remembers everything that happened, and it remembers the joys, and sometimes those get smothered by the things that are hard. And when you listen to it, and those things, like, they're stored until you come and get them and process them. There were unfinished body memories. And that's what I
Mhm.
had, a lot of those, a lot of traumas stored all up, waiting for me to be sensitive enough, old enough, mature enough to be able to go back and say, ooh, something over here is hurting. My solar plexus is hurting. What is going on with this pain? It's just like saying, come here, listen. And
Mhm.
what is this? Well, this is a stored body memory that is waiting to be processed. Just like it, something would happen to us tomorrow and we get on the phone and we talk about it right now. Well, we take care of whatever trauma would happen. But most of the time, when you're young, you don't even know you're storing up all those body memories,
Right.
and they're waiting for us, and they keep knocking, like, hey, keep knocking and saying, hey, I'm not comfortable. Hey, I'm not comfortable. And something hurts, come and talk to me.
Yeah.
And so I used to just think it was, what a pain in the neck. What is this going on? Run, run, run. But now it's like, I found out, well, no, just listen. And it's going to let you know what really happened. And then that pain that would maybe be in my solar plexus, uh, as it moved, as it was processed, I call it metabolizing it.
Mhm.
My whole, like, all of a sudden I found I was, like, my breastplate, my sternum just felt like it was expanding, and I was breathing deeper, and I could sing lower notes just because things kind of kept me hunched over. Well, now I
Mhm.
wasn't hunched over anymore. My whole body went through this transition and said, hey, I'm letting go of this because you listened.
Mhm.
And, I don't know if that's what you were looking for, but hey, that's my truth.
No, that's perfect. What kind of sensations were you having you could feel?
Well, first of all, this kind of started with, uh, about, a year ago. I was sitting right here at this desk, and as straight out of the center midline of me, like from the bottom of my breasts, like right in my belly, from the belly button to right underneath the sternum, songs started
Hmm.
coming out of there. True songs about my life, songs that didn't care if anybody else liked them or not. They were
Mhm.
true about my life, like Hanging by a Thread and, Run Girl Run. A lot of these songs that I've played out, and these were just, I call them dictation songs. These were the story of my life. I wasn't trying to help someone else find their story. This was the story of my life. And so this solar plexus area is really, the belonging part of us. If you look at, the world of Reiki and things, there actually are physical structures in your body called the solar plexus. And in the world of Reiki, it is the belonging center of each of us. And a lot of this belonging part of me had just been all interrupted, and so, sometimes it was that mid portion right here. Sometimes it was over here. Sometimes it was over there. Sometimes it was in my back. Sometimes it was right here over my sternum. And it would, when I would put my attention there, I started, you know, a truth about my life was right there. And it was usually, honestly, something that had hurt very badly. And
Mhm.
so instead of running away, I just ran into it like a fireman carrying my notebook. I was like, okay, I'm coming here. I know if I just listen to this ache that has opened up into my truth, I'll just write it down. I'll write it down. And I'll be able to see it in a different way. It won't be just stored in there with no place to go. We together, whatever this part of me, whatever is going on with this body, plus me, we will go get this, and we will listen, and we will be the big person. Maybe you need a big person a long time ago, but they're not around, and I'm the big person now in charge of me.
That's right. Absolutely.
My inner child, whoever is speaking right here. But then there's the big me who's really lived and knows, you know, truth from fiction and can handle so much more than that
Mhm.
those younger parts that really couldn't handle any of that.
Yeah, for sure. I do feel like so many of us are runners and we're not comfortable with the uncomfortable. So how did you get to a spot where you were able to listen to actually deal with it? Because I think that is a huge and important step in coming back to yourself and loving yourself. How did you get there?
Well, I have to say, it just hurt so dang bad, and there was nobody else around.
Right.
I did have a counselor, and I went here, but you can't go to your counselors every single day, so you might as well listen to yourself.
Right. Right.
Okay, that was very helpful, and I think technically how I got through that was, you know, I call it getting out of the sealed room. Me feeling it here in my brain, in my body, everything is like overwhelming and too much. But I wrote it out. I, I called people who love me and I said, hey, this is what I'm going through. And these are trustworthy people in my life,
Mhm.
you and various, and so I did not try to be the only, I was the person who, I'm the only one who's going to know my truth. You're the only one who knows what's happened to you. So I would say that I know it's up to me, but then I didn't have to just be all alone. I was like me, the younger parts that had been hurt, and that more grown up person that I am right now looked back, put my arm around myself, said, "I get it," and the most important words I've ever said is, "I know, I feel that way too."
Mm.
Not leaving, just saying, yes, I know it really hurts. I feel that way too. And hey, I'm not leaving. I'm staying here till the last tears cried. I'm staying
Yes.
here. I
Yes.
am okay, but I have, and I didn't like, I knew that at the end of a couple of these, by the time I went through a few of these recognitions of what had happened and all this, I was like, hey, I'm starting to feel better. Hey, I'm acting different now than I did before. Hey, whatever I'm doing, it's working because I feel different now. When somebody is like, maybe not treating me the way I wish they would, I'm now more like, you could be who you are. You're okay the way you are. I'm okay with what I need. You don't have to be what I need. I can be what I need. And I
Mhm.
started feeling, the outgrowth of spending that time with yourself, myself in many ways is, I call it space. I have space around how I'm reacting to what's coming in the world. Like, let's just take an easy one. Like, um, customer service. You waited 20 minutes to talk to somebody on the phone and you finally get them. And by this time you're so frustrated because, and it used to be so frustrating. It was so hard to be nice. And now I'm more like, hey, man, how are you doing over there? Customer service. I have enough space, right? To go, hey, I'm upset. And I could say, hey, it was really frustrating. I'm upset that it took so long, but I don't have to be so mad. I
Right.
can just be like, I got space around because if I'm going to boil that much, you might as well just get off the phone and call him back later when you feel a little more together. Life has so many opportunities
That's
find out
true. That's true.
to find out what do you feel.
Mhm.
And and I think a lot of times we feel this way with customer service people because we feel like we're erased. And like I just don't disappear from myself anymore
Yeah.
because I know, hey, okay, I'm listening to how I feel. Hey, and now I got a few good things I'm feeling on the inside.
That's
We're
right.
not,
Yes.
we're not going off on a tangent here, but
No, this is the perfect segue because I think what this is describing is the term that you call the staying practice. So why don't we talk about that for a minute?
okay. Okay, so something would happen in real life. Oh, how about I wake up with a feeling and it's like overwhelming me because things didn't go the way I wanted them to
Hmm.
yesterday. And thank God I got some sleep. And maybe I didn't get very much sleep. Well, now I'm going to I'm just going to journal this out, man. And I don't care what you use, right? You want to talk into Chat GPT, you just go ahead. You write as fast as you can write. You write your truth down and get it outside of you onto a onto a screen, onto a piece of paper, whatever. So you're not as subjective already just looking at that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in that honoring of that, being close to you, being honest with you, you don't have to tell anybody, hey, and I feel really ashamed of myself for feeling all these feelings, whatever that is. But it's just you right there. And you don't have to worry about that. And but then you say, well, Lindy, does this remind you of anything that ever happened to you in your life? Right? I think this has happened at least 3 or 4 times. Let's go follow it back to the first time. Oh, okay. Now we know it's not just so and so that happened today. It happened back there with dad. Oh my God. Okay. Okay. Well, that's probably why you picked that person to be in your life today, because they're going to bring you a good opportunity to find out what happened in the
Uh-huh.
long ago, and
Yeah.
when you started down this road, when you didn't even know that you were just adapting to try to
Mm-hmm.
function through life. There
Mm-hmm.
was a strong inner child that wanted what the inner child wanted, and then there was the me who like knows better. Okay, and so let's try to understand what the need is, and eventually, and I think that the counselors call this integration, where you go, oh, okay, I understand why that part of me felt the way that it did, and I can let go of whatever's going on today a lot easier. So it's just listening to your own truth about whatever happened, and you're not making up a story. They're doing it because of this and that and the other thing. It has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with you. So
Mm-hmm.
listen to what hurts in there, and some truth beyond what's happened today is probably going to be there. and
Mm-hmm.
and then as you listen, I mean, all of a sudden like the reality, what was unconsciously guiding me a lot of times, suddenly became like, oh, now I get why I was thinking what I was thinking, I was doing what I was doing, and why I chose the people I chose. And now I don't need to do that anymore, because I learned my truth, and it became conscious. It became a choice now, not an unconscious guiding towards um,
The
things.
answer to something.
Yes, right. There are real answers underneath the covers. I call it, you've got a big old iceberg, and it's saying get out of here, but underneath there's a whole lot of that.
Yes.
And then so I learned a lot of things that I had kind of never really understood, how that affects you as a in life, making choices, right?
Oh,
So
yeah. It's really interesting.
let me give you a real example here.
Yeah.
Grew up with a father who really used ambiguity as a weapon. He did.
Mm.
uh am I are you going to get to come home and be with your mom, or are you going to go to children's jail? This is terrible. Who would do that to a child? You know, are you, am I going to punish you and hit you, or am I not? And keeping me held in that situation many a times, and
Mm.
many, many, many. Why can't I cannot take a movie that, the movie, the scary movies bring you. Like, I can't take it. I can't take it at all. Because in my life, it was, uh, it was
Always
used
great.
in a very cruel way to a very small child.
Mm.
Okay, so now I know why. Oh my gosh, I can't take any of that, ambiguity from that person. Are they going to come back? Are they not going to come back? Are they going to be in my life? Or they're not going to be, like, because I cannot handle it. But the only way you're going to find that thing that is your truth is by following You're not blaming the other person. They are doing what they're doing. You have to listen to why that hurts you. You have to you have to find the seeds of all of that in you. And if you do that, then you're going to go, oh my gosh, no wonder. You're going to put your arms around yourself in a little imaginary way, and you're going to say, no wonder you feel the way you do. You are okay. And we don't have to be at the bottom of that anymore. We don't
Mm-hmm.
have to be at the brunt of someone else's issue. We can be, we can let them have their issues, and we can be free of this thing. I had no idea I was going to go find things like that I had lived with, but I did. And, on the other side of that, there's a whole lot of tears
Oh,
on
I
that. And then there's anger.
bet.
And there's being a soft and marshmallowy, gooey center with little anger wrapped around the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, now we're talking truth here. And, if we need to go over to the counselor, we're going to go. Whatever we need to make our way through this really big and important, lifeful thing. But you start looking in, you're going to see some things that you'll go, aha, no wonder. And it'll be easy. And some things are like, oh, I think I'm going to die. I'm never getting out of this thing. But, but when you look in, your body is holding on to that truth till you're ready. So I just thought it was like, I could see there was like, okay, you're going to learn this thing, and then that'll uncover this thing, and that'll uncover this thing. And it felt like it had a rhyme and a reason to it. So I
Mm-hmm.
just trusted that I am going to survive. and,
Yeah,
then, and as I wrote the book.
true.
And approval. I'm a big shrinker. Why do I need approval so much? Because it's fused to safety. Okay. Well, if I'm not so fused to the safety from the crazy family I grew up in, now I could stand up. I could say no. I could say yes. I could go along. I could choose not to go along. That's the decoupling of safety to all of these behaviors
Mm-hmm.
that make us too scared, so we say yes when we mean no.
Yeah. And that's the power of the staying practice, is to be able to, figure those connections out. So once you get to that point and you've stayed in this situation where you're able to kind of figure out, okay, I realize the way I'm feeling is because of this trigger or this trigger. How does reconnection and belonging then come back into the picture?
Oh my gosh, Natalie, this is it felt magical.
I bet.
Okay, so okay, I'm just making this stuff up. And it's only true for me, but I think it might be true for other people too. Think of it this way, like if you got if you had situations where approval got fused to safety, and the
Mm-hmm.
only way you're going to be safe is to go along.
Mm-hmm.
That takes a certain shape in your body somewhere, and that's why that thing hurts, and that's why it drew you there. Okay. And when you see it and you start to understand the beginnings of it, and you process it, it's no longer taking up that shape in your body anymore. Your body is going to go back to the way it originally was configured before. I kind of thought of it like if you got shot and there was a big old bullet in your muscles, and then the doctor took the bullet out of your leg, then all of a sudden the muscles would go back. And so then all of a sudden, the connections, the interconnections, just making this up, but I felt like the part of me that belonged to me was no longer interrupted. And
Mm-hmm.
that sense of belonging to myself, because I had gone and listened. I was the one who stood in that gap between me and the world and the pain, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
and the shape of whatever is belonging in us, what we feel, that I started recognizing, oh, there's a structure of belonging inside of me. It's like it's given me walls to stand up. I would like I didn't know I had walls, but now maybe I never did have walls before, but I have them now. I can stand up now. So I feel like belonging in the shelter. We kind of think of it of ourselves like a house or a shelter for ourselves. If we have belonging, and we have to be, like our actions that help us let go of old things, and we can recover or restore maybe, or develop what we never had because of trauma that had interrupted it before.
Mhm.
What do you
Nice.
think about that?
Hey, I think I think it's pretty, like you said, I don't know of another word to describe it, but just magical, because you finally make this connection where you can kind of stand on your own 2 feet. You don't need to lean on something because it's like a false sense of security.
Right. I
So,
don't have to outsource my stability to
right,
anyone else. I
right.
could be it, right? I could be it for me. And
Absolutely.
this is what, love kind of looks like. You could give all these things to other people, and in love and self-abandonment look like they're the same. You're giving everything to everybody else, but love has underneath that I give to you and you give to me.
Yeah.
It's not a one-way street, right?
Right. Right.
And and me and my internal me, those parts of me, I stood there and cared for myself, and the inner parts of me said, I care back. And now, like, we belong, like the inner parts of me feel like, um, I call it in the book afterglow. I started feeling this warmth inside of myself. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I was out riding with Robin Ruddy and Dave Isaacs and came home with Afterglow, right? Two great songwriters. But I was because I was like, I'm going to just say whatever I need to say. I'm not going to just go along anymore as a songwriter. I'm just going to say what, not like I'm going to be, like, you know what I mean? People can be very, I don't know. Let's just say I'm going to make sure whatever I need to say, I'm
Agreeable. Right.
agreeable. I'm not going to be too agreeable now. I'm going to
Yeah.
say whatever I need to say.
That's
And
beautiful.
I'm going to stop bargaining for my, place in the room. I'm just
Mhm.
going to accept that I belong in the room. And I drove home those nights feeling like glowing on the inside.
Empowered. Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
what is this? And I said, what
But
the
I
heck?
like that feeling. That's right.
What is this feeling? But I
That's
hadn't
right.
had it before. I don't know. I mean, maybe we all kind of have it, but and it's like, when you go and you have a great show and everybody's glowing after the show, you have that feeling in the room like we just did something so great. But, like for me, it used to be, oh, I'm thinking about all the things I did wrong before. Like, no, no, that's not how I feel anymore. I'm glowing, and the I'm feeling the joy of having been there. And I would say this, at the first place these major changes showed up was on stage, where instead of like unconsciously asking everybody to love me on
Mhm.
stage, I loved me. I loved me on stage, and I was okay with me. And I
Nice.
was like, okay, I know I'm officially I've done something here that makes a difference in my world.
Yeah.
Whatever I've been doing, staying with it, processing it, metabolizing it, letting it go.
Absolutely.
This is changing how I feel about myself. And sometimes other people pick that up too. That kind of feeling is kind of catchy. I
I was
call
gonna
that
say contagious. Yeah.
field of belonging is right there. It's like
Exactly.
we're co-regulating because we're okay. And all you need is one person who belongs to themselves. And I feel like that is what I get to have now. I don't have to, I love you, Natalie, but I belong to me, and I don't need your belonging as much as I did before. I can just enjoy being with you.
What would you say to the person who's afraid if they stop pleasing or being agreeable that they'll lose people or friendships.
God, I mean, I promise you are going to lose some friends,
Yeah.
because those friends are those people
They're
are
not
in your
really
life.
friends. Yeah.
Yeah, those are people that you chose to be in your life because they were there to wake you up.
Yeah.
And they're probably you're feeling some pain about those people to begin
Right.
with.
Right.
And you can feel that there's a loneliness, that it's something isn't some need isn't being met because you're the one who's probably always reaching out and doing so much, and maybe that stuff isn't coming back. We all need people in our life who are really get us, can meet us where we have a need as well as we're meeting them where they have a need, and I call that mutuality, right?
Hmm.
And I'm like, you know, for a while it was just I felt like I was dead in the water, like I was just I mean in the what they call the doldrums in your little boat, and you're not going anywhere because I had to think about who in my life is giving me what back the kind of love and appreciation that I would like to have. And then I just
Hmm.
started moving towards those people, and there were because I was a big doer, there weren't a lot of people like that. I'm going to help you out, and I do help people out, and I'm doing helping people out is really good, but you can't be helping people out thinking that maybe they're going to help you out too. You want to have people who are just automatically going to help you out too.
100%. Yes.
And it just takes, so once I started getting it mentally, I was like, well, um, you know that, I mean, honestly, I spent some time crying on the couch. Yeah, there's a lot of tears been
Hey,
cried on that.
hey, there's no shame in that. Yeah.
But whatever I have is honest, and I
Yeah.
really belong. I really feel like I belong. And somebody called me yesterday, like one of the first people that came to my mind. And that person, a couple months ago, when I started thinking, who's mutual? And that person called me yesterday. And
Oh,
they weren't looking I mean, it was just like, oh, that person is going through a lot of things. Now I could be there for them, and they were there for me. And I'm okay, two ways. It goes both
right.
ways.
Well,
Really
that's
needs.
absolutely right. Exactly. So this is obviously not an overnight change, and we obviously have setbacks sometimes because you might be in a good spot now, but something might set you back and you fall back into old patterns. So when we maybe we do and maybe we don't realize we're doing it, but what are some things that we can catch ourselves before we step back into old behaviors to be like, okay, wait a minute, this doesn't feel right. What am I doing here?
Well, okay, let me tell you this. This change in my life started January 1st, on my way home from your house and writing a song on January 1st.
I love it.
And I started writing this book, right? Now it is June, middle of June. And so in very short order, you know, and because the body was cooperating with me,
Hmm.
I mean, Natalie, I must have found 60 ways I was leaving myself. Honestly, a lot of
Wow.
ways. Okay. Well, when you spend this kind of time with yourself, so many things give us head knowledge. And we
Yeah.
go, "Oh, I'm going to change now." But we lose it as quick as we got that head knowledge. But when you're working with your body and your body gets it, body isn't going to lose it
Mm.
because it's written inside as much as all those old hard things were written inside. And it gets easier and easier to catch yourself. Uh-oh, I said yes, but I didn't really mean it. And now I don't have to feel like so heavy. I can just go, hey, I'd like to change this.
Yeah.
Where before I would sit and contemplate it for 3 or 4 days or a week or 2 months before I said anything. I think I had this advocate on my side always. It's called my body. How do I feel? Am I doing okay? And I check in all the time. Don't let a day go by where I'm not listening.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on? Good morning. Let's have some coffee. Anything you want to tell me? And boy, you're going to hear about it if you try to go to sleep and you haven't really
Hmm.
face something. This is a different thing than all the things that ever went on in your head that you lost that you wish you could have held on to. Your body is your advocate, and it wants to see things to continue to go in a good direction.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't have to spend so many days crying on the couch anymore, Natalie. I got it. I mean, there was a lot of things. This is the good news. When you get over it, it's like the body's very precise. Maybe there were 5 or 6 times on that one topic we had to go over it because I didn't see it from this angle. But then there was that angle. And then we're so dynamically made, right?
Mhm.
But maybe I got through those 5 things about that same topic, and then it was mine. Okay. So as long as I was listening, as long as I had a consciousness that I would be there for myself. That's a
Mhm.
brand new things for me. I'm like not running. I'm not run girl run. I'm like
Great.
I'm a
That is
stay girl right now. I'm telling you, because it makes a difference and it's easier now. This whole thing gets easier all the time. You
yeah.
start out wherever your body has worked the hardest is what is going to hurt the most. But as you listen and you persevere and you get yourself whatever you need a counselor, you go get one. You need to write it down. You need to write a whole book. Well, you write it down. You're number one for now.
Yeah.
And you need to focus on it. That's what I said. Okay. I mean, the whole month of January. I was like, thank God there's not a lot going on in Nashville right now because I have to do this right now.
Yeah.
And so I just followed the next thing that came. And if it upset me, I spent time with it. And there
Yeah.
was always a good reason why.
No, there is a good reason why, which is what I was going to ask you. What do you think writing this book not alone helped you understand about your life?
Wow. Okay. Um, and it started with losing a connection with somebody or having a falling out. But it became the story of finding the connection that I had been missing with myself. That's
Mm,
it. And that belonging is not something you have to earn from another person. You
I
can
love that.
create it yourself, period. And along the way, the things that stand in the way of that, the old protection patterns, your old ways of being, the way you used to be, like the overreaching, the
Yes. Yes.
doing all the relational labor, all of these things will become very clear to you, and you'll be able to take them on one after another. And so for me, uh, that's what I felt. It gave me my own ability to be my own stability.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm rhyming now. I mean,
I
that's
love it.
right. When before I needed somebody else to do that, right? And I love that. I mean, we can all use. I'm so self-sufficient. I don't want to emotionally be a wreck, so
Yeah.
someone else has to stabilize me.
Mhm.
Yes, I can say, "Hey, man, I can get pretty up in it about when something isn't going the way I like it going." But now I'm a lot more aware. Okay, what's going on inside there? Why is that upsetting you so much? Okay, and with the ability to just stay until my truth is out in front of me and there's nothing to
Mhm.
run from. So,
Nice. I think it's a really good tool to be able to pull out of your belt, to be able to regulate yourself instead of outwardly regulating yourself. So
or
for
just
me,
stuffing it the rest of your life,
you're
right?
stuffing it. Yeah. And then there's that too.
That's what most of us do, and then it's leaking out all over the place with other things.
Exactly. So, what would you say is your favorite part about the book?
Oh my gosh, my favorite part. Okay, I have. First of all, what I didn't expect on this journey. I mean, I knew I was living all these things out. One of my
Yes.
favorite things is having short sentences so that I could read them. Okay, the other thing is that, I found this thing that I call the field of belonging,
Mm,
and it's, it's like the most magical thing at all, like this belonging, this way of belonging where we can all feel that thing, and that's pretty amazing. But beyond that, this feeling safe. I broke up with urgency. urgency. Nothing is at stake here. I used to wake up every morning, open my computer to do something for Discover Sooner, and I had this big sense of urgency. Well, I broke up with urgency. And why? Because I feel safe, Natalie. I feel safe inside me. I know the world, it's crazy out there,
Oh
but
yeah.
I am safe in me. What more could I ask for? And I am a citizen of belonging. And then my favorite part of this is maybe, and I'll just read a little bit about it, the citizen of belonging. The citizen of belonging. Belonging has laws, though they are not written. You do not abandon yourself. You do not override yourself. You do not earn your right to exist. You do not disappear to stay connected. You do not ask another person to rescue you from yourself, but they
Mm.
may sit beside you while you stay. they may. They may sit beside you. Belonging has walls, not to shut the world out, but to hold you up. They contain your presence. They give you strength to stand. Stillness begins to gather. Rooms begin to make some sense. My God, nothing made any sense before. They protect you from the weather of others.
Oh,
The wind stays outside. The roof can finally do its job. The house becomes inhabitable.
oh, I love that. So beautiful. Nice.
Yes, I'm a
Oh,
citizen of belonging, and
yes,
not because anybody granted me access, but because I chose to stay, and everyone is invited to stay.
absolutely. I'm assuming that is the overarching hope that you're feeling your readers will pull from this book,
Yeah.
not alone.
Okay, well, let me say this one thing.
Yeah.
Let me leave you with something. I want you to know there's a reason why you feel the way you do. You are not wrong. You are not too much, and you do not have to leave yourself anymore to be seen, to be heard, or to be loved. The more you listen inward and stay with what hurts, your body will get the message and begin to trust you, and it's going to share with you all the truths that it's held for a long time. And you are up to the task. You can do this.
I love that. Those are amazing last words. But before I let you go, Nancy, where can our listeners find the book and your staying practice workbook?
Yes. Okay. Pretty easy. Go on Amazon. It's called
Yeah.
Not Alone. Well, there are a lot of not alones out there, but from chasing connection to being connected. Just look for that. You'll find it. And for a free PDF of the staying practice, go to nancydeckant.com, my website, and put in your email, and it'll shoot you out the ability to download this PDF. It's really a very standalone book. It's not just repeating what goes on inside Not Alone. It is going to take you by the hand, share with you this staying process. I gave you some drawings you could draw on it. Where's it hurting me right now? If I do it, I'd go back and I'd have a stack about this big of things that hurt. But right now, I don't have very many things that hurt me every day on the inside. This is
That's
the good news.
that is
Yes, this can change. So,
amazing.
go-
Well, you are proof that you've done the work. Now everyone needs to go and get this book, Not Alone. And Nancy, I just adore you. Thank you for coming back on the podcast.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Natalie. I appreciate you having me.